everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Diane and I'm here to show you how I paint my flowers and birds and animals and landscapes. So today we're going to be painting a beautiful sunflower. I'm starting here with a piece of 140-pound watercolour paper and a regular HB pencil, and I'm just lightly sketching in the shape of the sunflower, which is basically a circle for the centre of the flower and then another circle around that to give me indication of where the petals are going to reach out to. And then I'm going to lightly sketch in each petal around the centre. I've lightly sketched in a stem for the sunflower, and I'm going to indicate the part of the centre which is slightly lighter, just outlining an area there that I'm going to keep a bit lighter. And then I'm just going to call it a day as far as the drawing's concerned. I've got my medium round synthetic watercolour brush and my messy palette of yellows, and I'm coming in first of all here with some transparent yellow to paint some of the first petals very loosely. And then I've got some cadmium yellow here, which I'm putting in quite strongly and blending on the paper. And now we're back to a mixture of transparent yellow and cadmium yellow. And I'm going to work my way around the petals of the sunflower here, just generally mixing and matching different shades of yellow. Sometimes it'll be more cadmium, sometimes it'll be more transparent yellow, and here I'm going to add a little bit of red to the mix, just so that the petals are a little bit more shaded on this one side of the flower. And I'm putting some light brown in the centre to show, to begin to build up the centre part of the flower. And now I'm adding sepia around the outside edge. Just reinforcing that a little bit. And now we have to come back for the second go round of the petals. I'm just going over, going over the same petals again in the same way with the same sorts of colours, probably a bit darker this time and a bit thicker. It doesn't matter if I touch the centre and allow some of the brown to bleed into the yellow, as long as it doesn't happen too much. That can look very natural. And now I'm starting on the background, which is a very important part of this painting. The background is at least as important as the flower. And the way I do this is by dropping in an assortment of different colours very loosely, lots of water, lots of different colours. I've started off with a natural green kind of shade, and here I'm just coming in with a bit of viridian. I'm going to use lots of greys and yellows and pinks. There's some pink, and just letting the colours blend on the paper. You'll notice that I don't manipulate the paint on the paper at all. I just let it sit and do what it wants to do. And there goes in the stem. And I'm not doing any actual leaves here, just a general indication of greenery just through the different colours mixing on the paper. And a good tip when you're doing this kind of thing is that you want one side of the painting to be warmer than the other side. So you'll see I've got my reds on the right hand side, and on the left I've got only the bluish greens. So it goes from warm to cool as you go across from right to left. You don't want to use too much paint here, you just really want to give a light impression of green. A little bit of yellow up here as we go up towards the sun. Maybe think that there are other sunflowers in the field, so there would be yellow behind. Now I've covered the whole of the paper with my first coat of multicolour background, and I'm just now coming into the centre again, the centre of the flower, with some very dark sepia mixed with black to start to build up three-dimensionality of the centre. Keeping one side of the circle darker than the other side so that it has some form to it, a bit of three-dimensionality. And now I'm putting some shadows into the petals of the sunflower. Notice that I'm not using blue or grey or any opposing colour. I'm using darker yellow, if you like, if you can have darker yellow, so more cadmium. And now I'm coming in with some more green and strengthening the background to make the flower stand out better. If I were to use blue as the shadows on the flower, it would spoil the yellow, it would make it look more neutralised. It's better to use oranges and browns and yellows to achieve the shape that you want. Now the painting's dry, and I'm going to have to come back now and do the third coat of the petals. Same thing again, cadmium yellow, transparent yellow, painting over the first coat, which has dried and died back quite a bit. You can see the background is very pale. That always happens with watercolour. You're always going to get it 2 or 3 shades lighter once it's dry. Sometimes it's hard to take that into consideration. I did this entire painting just with one brush, one round brush, so it's not always necessary to have loads and loads of brushes, and you could in fact even use house painting brushes if you need something big and hefty and you don't happen to have one specially designed. Just grab the house painting brushes. Why not? Now we're going to work a little bit more on the background, so I'm going to strengthen the green for the stem a little bit there, and I'm going to put some fairly dark green just behind the flower, again emphasising and reinforcing what we did before. You will find that if you layer your colours like this, you get a much richer, much more interesting effect than if you just do it once. You know, watercolour has to be a process of several transparent layers on top of each other if you're going to get the delicate and rich look that you want. I'll put a list of the different colours paint that I used in the description below, along with the links, so that if you want to purchase any of these supplies from Amazon, you can use the links. And if you do click on one of our links, it's very helpful to us because it gives us a very small but not insignificant commission, which helps us to keep the channel going. I've just put in an order for paint and I was slightly amazed to see the prices. It's been a long time since I bought a lot of paint, and yeah, things don't get any cheaper. Luckily, the way I paint, I don't use a vast amount of paint, so not like some of these people that seem to be pouring it out of buckets onto canvases. That must be very pricey. Just continuing to slowly build up the layers, the transparent layers. Just very lightly brushing the paint into place. And now the centre of the flower has dried, so I can come back in with my sepia and with a series of broken and using the brush slightly on the side, broken strokes, emphasising the outside edge of the centre of the flower. And then once I've done that, I'm going to, using the thirsty brush, I'm going to lift out some of the colour just to give a nice rounded effect to the head of the sunflower. So this gives a nice soft edge. We don't want to make that too dark, because although in reality it often is very dark, it doesn't look very nice as a painting. So we'll pretend that it looks like this. It's what they call artistic license. So now back to the petals, and I've got some cadmium orange here. And I'm emphasising the shadows on the petals near to the centre of the flower. Just roughly brushing that in. I did one of these the other day and it didn't come out very well, so I decided I would go in with my pastels and rescue it, and that was really fun and quite successful. So that's one way that you can always rescue a painting. If you've got pastel pencils or ordinary pastels, give them a try on a failed, so-called failed watercolour painting. Sometimes you can end up with something better than you might have expected. Now that doesn't look very natural at this point, but I'm going to soften that in a second so that it blends in better. So I've taken the paint off the brush. This is just a clean brush with no paint on it, and I'm just using that to smooth out the hard edges and turn them into soft edges. It's called Lost and Found. And talking about lost, I lost a piece of video there, so a few of my strokes are missing, but I can say that I did go in with a rigger and do some spatter and some calligraphic marks and a toothbrush and a bit more spatter, but you've seen me do that before, so that's not particularly new. And now I've done some dots on the centre of the flower to indicate the seed heads, and I'm just going to do a little bit more toothbrush on the top there. That's yellow going into the sky area. I used green further down, and that's, I think that was blue. And there we are, the completed painting. So I hope you enjoyed watching me do this painting today, and I do hope that you decide to give it a go yourself. It's a lovely subject and one that always brings a little smile into our lives. If you did enjoy watching the painting, then hopefully you'll give me a like and maybe subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit the bell so that you get notifications whenever a new video comes up, which will be pretty much every day, especially now I've got my new MacBook. So that's all from me for today, and I will say goodbye for now and look forward to seeing you next time, which will probably be tomorrow. So bye bye for now, everybody. Bye bye.